English on the road with Nzwaki. Hey guys, welcome to Fluency Sprints. This is your go-to channel for improving and mastering the English language. I am Nzwaki, and in today's episode we are going to cook up something extremely special: food idioms. You know, those quirky expressions that don't really make sense if you take them literally, but they are actually super common in everyday conversations. We are talking in a pickle, take it with a grain of salt, and many more. So if you have got an appetite for learning, stick around because this episode is going to be delicious. Let's dive right in. Alright, so let's crack open our first idiom in a nutshell. So this one is all about being brief and straight to the point. So picture this. You've got this tiny nutshell, right? How much information can you really fit in there? Not much. So if you want to give someone the quick version of something, you say in a nutshell. Okay, so imagine your friend asks you about how your day was. So now you could go into all the details and explain to them how you had a terrible day at work with your boss or your colleagues, and how your car broke down on your way back from work, and how you lost your wallet or your cell phone. Or you could just say, well, in a nutshell, I had a pretty bad day. Boom. Straight, concise, and it gets the job done. I mean, if it's necessary for you to go into all the details, you will do that after, okay? So you can say, for example, well, in a nutshell, I had a really bad day. And if your friend asks you, like, okay, so can you tell me more about it? Then you can go into all the details and explain everything bad that happened. Did you know this phrase comes from an old story from the Roman philosopher Cicero? I'm not sure if I'm saying his name right, but I hope I am, so my apologies. So Cicero claimed that an entire book could fit inside a nutshell. Can you imagine that? Talk about being optimistic. Now let's move on to our second idiom, in a pickle. Okay, now this is the real zinger, in a pickle. And I'm not talking about sitting inside a jar of pickles, although imagine how squishy that would be. And this idiom means you are in a tough spot, like when you've got yourself into a bit of a mess. And let me just give you an example. So imagine you're out with your friends enjoying a nice dinner, and then when the bill comes, you realize you left your wallet at home. You're definitely in a pickle. Now you are stuck trying to figure out how to pay or who to ask for help. It's a tricky situation, and that's exactly what this idiom is about. And this phrase dates back to the 1500s, when pickles referred to a sour or spicy sauce. And trust me, no one likes to be in something that is sour. Up next, we have the way the cookie crumbles. I'm sure many of you guys can relate to this one, the way the cookie crumbles. It's a tasty way of saying that's just how things go sometimes, and we can't do much about it. You know, life doesn't always turn out the right way or the way that we want it to. And just like a cookie, you can't predict how it will break when you bite into it. So now imagine this. You spend hours studying for an important test, and you are very confident that you will ace it. But when you get back your results, you didn't do as well as you had hoped. Disappointing, right? But instead of dwelling on it, you could just shrug it and say, well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. It's a fun, light-hearted way to accept life's little ups and downs. And hey, maybe next time you will get a cookie that does not crumble at all. Everything will go good. Next, we have my favorite, a lot on my plate. I love this one because it's so visual. So picture a huge plate at a buffet, piled high with food. There's so much on there that you're not sure if you can actually handle it all, right? Well, that's exactly what this idiom means. Except instead of food, we are talking about responsibilities. So for instance, if you're working, you're studying, and planning an event all at the same time, you might say, I've got a lot on my plate right now. So this is just a fun way to tell someone you're super busy without sounding like you are complaining, because no one likes to hear people complain. So maybe next time your schedule is overflowing like a Thanksgiving dinner plate, you can know exactly what to say. Last but definitely not least, we have take it with a grain of salt. Okay, so this one is perfect for those moments when you hear something that might not be entirely true and you're like, I'm not sure about that, And for example, maybe let's say your friend tells you about this miracle skin care product that promises to make you look 10 years younger overnight. So this sounds good and very good to be true, right? So you would be wise to take it with a grain of salt. In other words, don't believe everything you hear, especially when it seems a little far-fetched. And I don't know about you, but there are certain people in my life, I don't know if I'm about to expose them right now, but there are certain people that I know that always like to lie about certain things, that it's really hard for me to even believe every single thing that they say. So whenever they try to come up with a story to tell me, or whenever they are telling me actually something that I don't really quite believe, I just take it with a grain of salt, just to, save myself from the disappointment, or maybe from getting myself into trouble. And this idiom has an ancient origin. So the Roman soldiers were said to eat a grain of salt with questionable food to protect themselves from poisoning. So think of it as a way to protect yourself from questionable information. And there you have it, 5 deliciously fun food idioms. So let's quickly wrap up. So in a nutshell means to summarize something briefly. In a pickle describes being in a difficult or tricky situation. And then the way the cookie crumbles reminds us that sometimes things don't go our way. A lot on my plate is perfect for when you are juggling a lot of tasks. And take it with a grain of salt is a great way to remind yourself to stay skeptical. Don't believe everything. I hope that you enjoyed this tasty saving of idioms today. Try this in your next conversation. You will sound like a native in no time. And remember, learning English is like baking. It takes time, but the end results are always worth it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and as always, if you enjoyed the show, please be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, and share it with your friends and family. Until next time, please keep learning, keep smiling, and take everything with a grain of salt. Thank you so much.